What's up? Steve Slade here. I'm bringing y'all a prediction video today. UFC 314. I'm doing the fights I'm most interested in. Let's kick it off with Sedriques Dumas versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Me personally, I'm using my head. I'm picking Michal Oleksiejczuk. Sedriques Dumas, he's not disciplined. He's not committed to the game like he needs to be. This guy's going out there, he's losing, and blaming being high during the fight. This is an actual excuse this guy made. It's a degenerate. And when you look at it, he's losing a lot of the time. He beat Dennis Tululin, who has a 10-10 record with 1 no contest, by decision. You're taking these guys to decision. We got to really step back and question what level of competition you really are. When you look at Michal Oleksiejczuk, though, I'm a lot more pleased when I'm looking down here at his record. Sure, I'm seeing losses to Shara by decision, Kevin Holland by submission, but the ref stepped in there. He may have continued on. And Michel Pereira by submission, but it's in the first round. All right, it's a little different. And when we look before this, he KO'd Chidi Njokuani in the first round. Chidi Njokuani, if you remember, beat Oleksiejczuk Zaleski dos Santos very recently. And he's all right. I don't think that Sedriques Dumas is all right. You know what I mean? I don't think he's at that level of competition. I think he's get cut from the UFC eventually kind of tier. Moving on, we got Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. I'm going with Chase Hooper by submission, y'all. We have reached prime Chase Hooper status. It's a different Chase Hooper than the one we once knew. Everyone on the street, they're all talking the same thing. I got Chase Hooper by submission in the early rounds. I do not think it will take him long to get old man Jim Miller up out of there. It's as simple as that, y'all. Moving on now up the card, we got Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Me, I'm going with Dominic Reyes. This is less of a logic pick and more of like a who I want to win pick. I mean, I guess logic ways, I'm going with Nikita Krylov. He's been out for a while. It's been a long time since we've seen him. This guy has low-level hype. You know what I'm talking about? He's got a good bit of losses. Reyes has his losses as well. But they're against, most of them are against good guys, I'd say. You know what I mean? With Reyes, you always got to remember, beat John Jones, merely robbed. So you got to take that into factors. But, I mean, how shit is John Jones is the question there, I guess. Honestly, I feel like this one could kind of go either way. I probably would just go Reyes. Let's go Reyes. Reyes comeback season, y'all. We're trying to get on that. Moving on, we got Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Highly anticipated matchup in the featherweight division. Bryce Mitchell's back for making his controversial statements about going fishing with Prime Hitler, and he's back to face Gene Silva. Honestly, guys, I'm going with Bryce Mitchell on this one. I think Bryce Mitchell's back with a vengeance. I think he will beat Gene Silva by submission. I've heard talk in the town of Gene Silva training footage where he is being taken down by low-level guys. And then you got to examine. He's never really been tested in that submission kind of grappling area. Bryce Mitchell, we know he's got levels to that game. We saw him brutally knock out Chrome Gracie, but I mean, that was a layup. That fight should have never been made. We all knew how that was going to go. But still, I think Bryce Mitchell looks more locked in. Gene Silva almost missed weight. He almost missed weight. We saw that at the press conference. He seemed disheartened when the crowd didn't want to go his way. So you gotta look mental locked inness. You gotta go with Bryce Mitchell, and that's such like a huge part of the game, right? I definitely gotta go with Bryce Mitchell on this one. Although I shouldn't say definitely, because there is the path to victory for Gene Silva. Maybe he does go out there and Gene Silva's his way through it and he knocks out Bryce Mitchell. But I don't know. He is chinnable. Everybody knows that about Bryce Mitchell, especially after the Josh Emmett KO, right? That was like, ingrained in people's minds. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that Bryce Mitchell will probably be able to take him down, though. I think that will probably be the case. But will he be able to present a submission threat? And if not, will he be able to sustainably take him down without getting KO'd? Probably not. So he probably would have to go through a submission. I think he can get it. Go with Bryce Mitchell. He just seems more locked in, and almost missing weight's not a good look. Moving on, we got Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Honestly, I don't think any of these Bellator guys are on the UFC level for the most part. Maybe some of the ONE FC guys like Reiner de Ritter I think are UFC level. Michael Chandler, look at his record. Lose, 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 lose. He beat Dan Hooker. How long ago? That looks like a fluke in hindsight, honestly. We'll get to him in a moment though. But I think that Patricio Pitbull, he's past his prime. 37, Yair Rodriguez, 32. I mean, Yair's had some losses here and there. He's been in some wars, but I don't know. Pitbull, I don't think this is his day, guys. Yair's got some reach on him. Long-rangey striker like Yair, you don't want to give him that. I don't know, guys. You got to go with Yair Rodriguez, I think, on this one. Probably by decision, but we'll see. Maybe we can get a little knockout from Yair Rodriguez. He can bring out the flashy knockout sometimes. Yair Rodriguez, he's coming off a loss to Brian Ortega by submission, but I just don't know. I think the youth and physicality here is really going to be the advantage. I mean, Yair's got good striking, and he's got some range on Pitbull, and, like I said, these Bellator guys, they are not the way. We got to go with Yair Rodriguez for this one. Moving on, we got the co-main event, where another Bellator guy, Michael Chandler, faces Paddy Pimblett. So, for this one, we got a 5-rounder here. If it was 3 rounds, I would really, really confidently pick Pimblett, but we've never seen Pimblett go 5 rounds, so there's always that question, right? But, I don't know. I think it's safe to go with Paddy Pimblett on this one, because like I said with Chandler, he chinned Dan Hooker, but how long ago was that? Looks like a fluke a little bit in hindsight. He's losing to all the good guys. Got dropped by Tony Ferguson. You always got to remember that. Always got to remember that he got dropped by Tony Ferguson. It's just, I don't know. It's a very competitive fight. It's really tough for me to pick, but I'm pretty confident Paddy Pimblett's going to get this one done. I think it might be a little bit boring at times. We might see some smudging against the cage. Definitely probably going to see some cheating from Chandler, as is usual. But I think Paddy Pimblett will get this one done. Probably by submission at some point or another, I think. Just because, Michael Chandler, he's kind of vulnerable in that way. We've seen him be submitted by Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is no slouch, of course, but Paddy Pimblett isn't either. You got to remember this. So, yeah. I got Paddy Pimblett by sub, like, round 2 or 3 kind of area. Moving on to the main event. We got Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. This is a big one, guys. The return of Volkanovski. After getting KO'd by Ilia Topuria, the best, and Islam Makhachev. I'm going with Volkanovski. But in doing that, I'm taking a bit of a gamble. I'm gambling that Volkanovski has still got it. This is the matchup we wanted to see if Ilia was staying at featherweight, And this is the one that rightfully needed to happen. I think Volk's probably still got it. Let's remove ourselves a bit from the last 2 fights. He's in the best shape of his life. Everyone's seen the photos on social media. Guy's fucking shredded. Lean. I worry a bit about overtraining. Volk. He's a guy who has dedication to the game. It can harm him in ways. Case in point, stepping in on short notice versus Islam Makhachev, fighting Ilia Topuria not very long after at all, months later. Very worrying stuff, but I think Volk's been out for a while. I think he's fully locked in mentally, a lot like Bryce Mitchell. I think his mental locked-inness is at a high level. Diego Lopes, of course, too. This is his big chance, his title opportunity. He may never get one of these again. It's a tough call, but Diego Lopes is very dangerous for Volk. He's got that big, tall, rangy frame, kind of like Max Holloway did, who, of course, Volk fought him 3 times. A lot of people say that second fight could have gone either way, right? But Diego Lopes has that finishing ability. If he was more focused and had a better fight IQ, he would have knocked out Brian Ortega in round 1. He just started going for submissions, which, so many people make that failure. Volk's not going to make that kind of mistake. You know what I mean? Still, though, Diego Lopes has the potential. These kind of guys, these young up-and-comers, they're learning and growing. You got to count on it when you're predicting for them to grow and evolve in between their fights. That's what you got to count on. But I really still think Volk's going to rein it in. We've been hearing Volk say things in this build-up like, the only way guys can beat me is if they catch me. Guys is Diego Lopes, right? The only way I see Diego Lopes beating Volk is if he catches him early. That's the only possible scenario. No way is he going all 5 rounds. We know that about Diego Lopes. He slows down 3-rounders. Imagine a 5-rounder. Yes, he's bringing his A game. Yes, he's going to be conditioned like never before. But still, you're not going to be able to overcome that. You're not going to be able to beat Volk's gifted 5-round ability. It's just not going to happen. Of course, Diego Lopes beat Brian Ortega. Diego Lopes is on such a tear, though. It makes it really tough. I still think Volk's got it, though. I'm gambling on that. Like I said, I'm gambling that Volk still got it. That's where we're going with this prediction. If not, the way I see it going, honestly, is that Diego Lopes, if Volk doesn't still got it, Diego Lopes is going to probably knock him out early, get him up out there. It's going to be Volk crying and whatnot. It's going to be sad. The edits will go around about how sad it is. But, Diego Lopes champion, that'll be interesting. A little bit, I'm also hoping for Volk to win. That way it'll just make Ilya look better, It'll really make that division look like he never left. We all will know who the rightful champion is. Anyhow, I got Volk by late round TKO. Yup, that's right. Late round TKO. Diego Lopes starts slowing down. Volkanovski, he's just doing fine, where he's talking to him. I think we're going to see a round 4 TKO. And I think it's going to be because as Diego Lopes is going to be slowing down, Volkanovski is going to be making his reads. And he's going to be getting going. But I'll keep it 100. I can see this one going either way, honestly. I could just as easily see Diego Lopes round 1 KO. You know what I mean? Kind of like what he did to Brian Ortega, but maybe he has learned from it. Maybe I'm wrong, Maybe he can land that kind of shot on Volk and it'll all be over. We have a new era of featherweight. But yeah, Volkanovski, round 4, TKO. That concludes my UFC 314 predictions. I'll see y'all again on Sunday with the reactions. Follow me on Instagram @SteveSlade online. See ya.